It's turning colder, but how cold will it get? And will you see any snow? Hello, I'm Aidan McGivern. I'm a meteorologist here at the Met Office. And welcome to this in-depth look at the weather this week and beyond. I'm going to be talking about why it's turning colder, daytime temperatures, overnight temperatures, frost, ice, some snow, and what's going to happen next week when milder and wetter weather tries to return from the Atlantic, potentially mixing with the cold air in place across the UK. All of that to come, but first of all, why is it turning colder? Because it has been so mild through the autumn. The reason it was so mild through November in particular was because of a very powerful jet stream that was running in roughly a straight line all the way across the Atlantic like this. Now, the power of that jet stream through November was the result of cold plunges, repeated cold plunges across North America, mixing with milder air coming up from the subtropics. So that added fuel to the jet stream. And of course, when the jet stream is powerful, when it's running in a roughly straight path across the Atlantic, we're in the firing line. We see low after low after low, and we get our air up from the southwest. And so it's mild, and we see those repeated bouts of wet weather. So we saw a wetter than average autumn, a particularly wet November. We saw all this mild air coming up from the southwest. So what's changed? Well, let's have a look at the here and now and a quick zoom out of the map there, and you can see the jet stream in a very different structure right now. And basically it's weaker, it's much more amplified rather than running in a straight line across the Atlantic. It's doing these loops, it's very twisty-turny all over the place. There's a rough path that you can make out coming out of North America over Greenland there, coming south over the UK and then coming in around this, so a very elongated shape to it. It's what we call a blocking pattern, and the thing that's blocking the jet stream at the moment is high pressure. And so rather than being influenced by the cold spell over the North American continent and the powerful jet stream, we've now got high pressure in place. It was at the start of the month over Scandinavia and parts of Russia. It was extending its influence, blocking the jet stream, and we had easterly winds. Now that dominant high pressure is sitting over Greenland, and of course that means we've got this big loop in the jet stream over the high, and then the jet stream's forced to come back down again, and we're developing this northerly. As long as that high pressure is sitting over Greenland, we're going to see a greater likelihood of these northerly winds. That's what we're seeing at the moment. And low pressure, rather than coming at us from the west, it's dipping to the south of the UK. So some potentially very unsettled weather over the Mediterranean over the next few days as those areas of low pressure are forced south. But one of the root causes, of course, during November was the cold weather over the States. And if we put on the temperatures there, you can see it's less cold. We've got this milder air across North America. So two things have changed in the atmosphere as we've started the month. We haven't got the cold air in place across North America fueling that jet stream, and the jet stream is much more amplified. It's running into these large areas of high pressure that are sitting in place. They're acting like stepping stones, preventing the jet stream from bringing us weather from the west and the southwest. And what we're seeing is more settled weather, less wet and windy weather, but also colder conditions. So right now, actually, with the easterly winds that have developed across the UK, we've still got that easterly influence at the moment, and it's still bringing us showers. This is the radar from the last 24 hours. And most of these are rain showers. So there's a graphic here that shows the differentiation between rain and snow. The blues showing where it's raining. The whites you can just about make out over the tops of the Pennines, southern uplands, for example. So there is some white mixing in with it at the moment. Over the mountains there of Scotland, increasingly we're seeing the whites coming through with these showers. And the orientation of those showers are changing. So at the start of that was 24 hours ago, the showers were coming in from the east. Now they're increasingly coming in from the north. So the start of this was this time yesterday. Showers coming in from the east, affecting much of east and central England, parts of Wales, Northern Ireland, as well as Scotland. But you can see that trend over the last 24 hours. The showers are starting to come down from the north, and that's because the wind direction is changing. And you can see for the rest of this afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, those winds are now coming from the north. Now, at the moment, they're not cold enough for snow at lower levels, but we are going to drag that colder air in from the north, and taking a wider view there with the wind direction and the temperatures, then you can see there's the UK. This is through the rest of Tuesday, into Tuesday night and into the start of Wednesday. The winds increasingly coming from the north across the UK. This cold front sinking south. So that's going to do two things. It's going to change the distribution of those showers. They're going to be mostly affecting parts of the UK that are exposed to the northerly, so northern Scotland especially through the next 24 hours, and as well eastern parts of England, parts of Northern Ireland. The rest of the UK, there is a significant change on the way actually, so that the rest of the UK sees sunnier skies, because the easterly brought quite cloudy conditions in from the east. But this is as we end Wednesday, and you can see hardly any clouds across the UK. So northerly winds are clearer winds. They bring cleaner air all the way from the Arctic. Easterly winds can bring a lot of that kind of low cloud, so low stratus or stratocumulus. But we're losing that over the next 24 hours. So one of the main things, what most people are going to notice isn't the snow. Most people are going to be unaffected by snow in the next few days. What most people, I suspect, will notice are those sunnier skies. But of course, with clearer skies, we're going to see lower temperatures by night, as well as by day, with that influence from the northerly wind. So if I just put on the temperature chart there. Now, these are the daytime highs over the next few days. So this is Tuesday afternoon, and we're looking at 7s and 8s in the south, 4s and 5s in the north. Not that far from average for the time being. But skipping forwards to Wednesday, and those temperatures are a couple of degrees lower already. 6 at best in the south, 2 or 3 further north, perhaps only 0 or 1 across parts of northern Scotland. And if you go up a hill on Wednesday afternoon, it's going to be a few degrees below freezing, particularly where we've got the strong wind and the snow, which I'll talk about in just a moment. I'm going to be talking about the snow in just a moment, but for the time being, let's look at the temperatures. Wednesday afternoon, temperatures are looking like that. Thursday afternoon then, and again, those temperatures are decreasing day by day. These are the afternoon highs, so 2 to 5 Celsius across southern parts of the UK, not far from freezing, or over any higher ground in the north, below freezing on Thursday. And then into Friday, and similar temperatures, if not a degree or so lower in places. And into Saturday, similar temperatures again. So you can see Glasgow, afternoon high 0. And over any upland areas where you've got these blues, I suspect temperatures will be below freezing through Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. So sub-zero daytime temperatures, ice days. And by the weekend, you wouldn't rule out some parts of the south seeing temperatures hovering just above freezing, or with any hills staying below. Those are the daytime temperatures. Overnight temperatures are going to be much lower than they have been for some time. And so if we switch to the overnight mins and skip forward to, for example, the start of Thursday, these are the kinds of values. They're going to be quite variable across the country. What we can expect Thursday morning is a widespread frost, even coastal areas, even low-lying areas, even in the south. Widespread frost, so overnight temperatures in towns and cities, -1 to -3 Celsius. In rural sheltered spots, -3 to -6 or -7 degrees, even in the south. But in the north, over any snow cover, we could see -8 to -10, or for some Scottish mountains, even lower than that. So really quite sharp frosts, slight to moderate for most, but severe frost possible in places. And skipping forward to, say, the start of the weekend, and you can see those kinds of numbers on the map. They're going to be highly variable across the country, depending on wind direction, your exposure, how sheltered you are, bits and pieces of cloud coming through. But you can see a widespread frost expected, temperatures significantly below freezing in many spots. Now, those are the temperatures, and of course, it will be cold enough for snow to happen with those kinds of temperatures. But it's not just the actual temperatures we look at to forecast snow. We also look at what we call freezing level, and this is a map showing the freezing level across the UK over the next few days. So it's starting there Tuesday afternoon, and the key is on the left here. Why do we care about freezing level? Freezing level is basically the height of the atmosphere at which 0 degrees happens, and so when you go further up in the atmosphere, the air gets colder, and at some point you get to 0 degrees. So obviously for snow to fall, you need the temperature to be below freezing. or just above freezing because it takes some time for the snowflakes to melt, and often when you get heavier precipitation coming out of the clouds, that can cool the atmosphere further. So what we're looking for with the freezing level are heights at around 200, 300 metres or so. That's when you're more likely to see some snow coming through. And this is heights above sea level, so it doesn't take into account the mountains. Nevertheless, what we're seeing here are the blues appearing widely on Tuesday afternoon, some greens across southern England at this stage, so no snow here. But blues elsewhere indicates the air is turning colder, and then skipping forward to Wednesday, and we've got these greys. Now they indicate those areas where the air is cold enough to snow. We're looking at 200 or 0 metres. And so basically what this shows is that by Wednesday, for most of the UK, except for some coastal fringes, it's cold enough. The air is cold enough for snow because that air is coming all the way from the Arctic. But because the air is coming from the north, it will vary in terms of where we see anything falling out of the clouds, because as I mentioned, for many places, it's simply going to be sunny skies over the next few days. Not much precipitation coming through, particularly where we're not exposed to the northerly wind. So this is the rest of Tuesday. Rain showers for eastern England, 1 or 2 showers for parts of Ireland and northern Scotland. Northern Scotland at this stage, snow over hills. But running it forward, we're going to see the snow level increasingly come down. I'll take off the cloud there so it's clearer. And it's still rain showers for eastern England overnight, but for parts of Scotland, zoom in and you can see the whites increasingly appearing across northern parts of Scotland. And overnight the snow is going to start to accumulate across northern Scotland, even at lower levels. So I think for parts of Aberdeenshire, Caithness, Sutherland, the Northern Isles, you could be waking up to a snow covering by tomorrow morning. And through Wednesday, through tomorrow, that snow is going to increasingly accumulate, 2 to 5 centimetres at lower levels, 5 to 10 centimetres over the hills. So some significant snow coming along for the northern half of Scotland. And it's going to be cold as well, it's going to be windy, and so over higher parts there's the risk of drifting and blowing snow, and there's the risk of blizzards over some of the hills and mountains of northern Scotland. That's why there's a snow warning in force, because for northern Scotland this is the kind of weather we haven't had for a while, could cause impacts particularly to travel, transport through Wednesday and into Thursday. Those showers are just going to keep going really. So that's northern Scotland. Now across the rest of the UK, skipping back to Wednesday afternoon, and there will be some showers running into eastern coast of England, not many, and there will also be some showers for Northern Ireland, parts of West Wales. Now, mostly these showers are going to be falling as rain or sleet at lower levels, but we're likely to see some snow falling over the hills. So, for example, the North York Moors, the Moor Mountains for Northern Ireland, but any accumulations at this stage, not particularly significant. So a slight covering over hills above 200 or 300 metres, but at lower levels, we're talking about rain showers. And switching back to the cloud cover, you can see for most places, actually, it's just a sunny day. It's crisp winter sunshine, even though it will feel cold in that wind. So some snow expected. Northern Scotland, a risk of disruption from that, but elsewhere across the UK, it's these mixed phase showers, so rain, sleet and hill snow. But of course, as temperatures drop away, I showed you the temperatures overnight just a minute ago, then these showers keep running in overnight. There's the risk of some icy patches. And we do have a number of warnings in force at the moment. So we've got the snow warning for northern Scotland. That's what that looks like. Then, as we go into a Wednesday night and into the start of Thursday, there's this ice warning for eastern England, southeast Scotland. That's because of those showers continuing around the North Sea coast, leading to some slippery surfaces first thing on Thursday. And we've also got an ice warning for some of these showers coming through for western fringes of the UK, so for parts of Northern Ireland, parts of Wales as well. Now this is also related to a fairly interesting but tricky to handle feature that could start affecting parts of Northern Ireland, Wales, into the West Midlands and North West England by the time we get to Thursday. And I'll show you what that looks like. It's a little area, well, a little area of low pressure developing in the airflow. And by Thursday itself, by the start of Thursday, here's what it looks like. It's going to bring a spell. Let's rewind the clock a little bit there. So it starts off just to the west of Scotland. Then It's likely to bring some rain or sleet around coastal parts of Northern Ireland overnight, with some snow inland, mainly over hills. Likewise for southwest Scotland, you can see it's bringing some stuff in. And then by the start of Thursday, it's running into very cold air. That's been chilled overnight for parts of North Wales, northwest England, as well as the West Midlands. Now, this is quite a small scale feature, so it's tricky to pinpoint it exactly. Different computer model runs are saying slightly different things, but it looks most likely this sort of situation will occur, with the showery rain and sleet at lower levels pushing into parts of North and West Wales, Northwest England, West Midlands, turning to snow quite readily inland as it bumps into the cold air that's happened overnight, and then perhaps a covering of snow during Thursday morning, so some falling and settling snow in this part of the world. Not much snow, a few centimetres perhaps at lower levels, a bit more over the hills, so for Snowdonia quite significant snow above a few hundred metres. But that's definitely something that we're going to be keeping an eye on. I think the primary risk of that is going to be some ice patches, some slippery surfaces and so on. Could be some transport disruption depending on how heavy that snow ends up being on Thursday morning. But yeah, we'll keep you updated on that. So some snow around over the next few days, but mainly it's going to be sunny and crisp by day, and by night clear skies with that sharp frost. How long does it last for? That's the next big question, of course, and really the answer is quite a long time by the looks of it. Skipping forward to the end of this graphic, and you can see very little change, with the jet stream appearing highly elongated and this low to the southwest not making steady progress for a long time. This is, by the end of Sunday, we've still got northerly airflow over the UK. We've still got these little features that could bring some sleet around the coast and some snow inland to some places through the weekend. Difficult to get the details right on those at this stage. But overall, through the weekend, it's going to stay cold. We're going to see those overnight sharp frosts. We're going to see temperatures hardly above freezing by day, and in some places further rain, sleet and snow showers, which we'll obviously keep you updated on during coming days. Into the start of next week, our eyes are on this area of low pressure. Now, this is bringing much milder air from the southwest and some wet weather with it as well. So this is what the rain looks like, some heavy rain. And it's likely to start to move towards the UK for the start of next week. However, a lot of uncertainties at the moment about that low, whether it's by, say, Monday, Tuesday next week ends up here, and we get some rain here and some snow as it pushes north, or whether it stays to the south, so it runs along northern Europe here, and we continue to see the northerly winds and the cold but sunny weather predominantly. Those are the main uncertainties, and we just have a look at what some of the computer model runs are saying, because at this stage we look at all the different kinds of model runs. This is from the European model. It's run 50 times every 6 hours. And these are all the different things it's saying for the start of next week. The blues basically represent the cold air. The reds, oranges and so on represent the milder air. And it's a bit difficult to see it at this range, but basically each of these are a snapshot for the start of next week, where the cold air is and where the milder air is. Some of these show milder air across the southwest, some of them show cold air across the UK and the mild air never arriving. But it's important because when that mild air arrives, there is the risk of some more widespread snow on the boundary. Another way of showing that is on these diagrams here, which are basically representing temperature. The higher up the lines go, the milder it is, and the lower they go, the colder it is, essentially. And this is from the European model again. This is for Camborne and this is for Aberdeen. And what they show, each line represents a different computer model run, and the main cluster of lines you can see through the middle there. So they're both showing they agree that it's going to be cold through to Monday. Now for Aberdeen, it keeps things cold for all these computer model runs through to the middle of next week, basically. Only one or two that go a bit higher. But for Camborne, a real spread in solutions, and that's because in the southwest, as I mentioned, some of those computer model runs are saying it's going to turn milder, rain arrives. Other model runs are saying it's going to stay cold with the northerly staying in control. So that's the main source of uncertainty for the start of next week. How much the mild air spreads up from the southwest and how much we'll see some more persistent, more significant snow on the boundary between that mild air and the cold air already in place. And a subtle difference in the track of that low that I mentioned will be crucial for determining those details, which we won't really get a firm idea of, I don't think, for a few days yet. So we'll keep you updated right here at the Met Office. But the significant thing, I think the most important thing to mention, is that this is looking like a fairly prolonged cold spell. It's not that unusual in the grand scheme of things. When you look back at typical winter weather in the UK, this kind of cold spell might happen every couple of years or 2 or 3 years or so. But of course, at the moment, with energy prices and with a lot of people struggling this winter, then for a lot of families, I think it's not necessarily good news for this cold spell to last for some time. And so our advice at the Met Office is to look out for each other. If you know vulnerable people in your community who need extra help, look out for those people, because we know this cold spell is happening. We know it's going to last for some time. So please do look after yourselves and look after others. But we'll keep you updated right here at the Met Office. That's all from me for now. But let us know if you like this kind of in-depth look at the weather. If you're watching on YouTube, do press the subscribe button so you can find out when more of these are coming your way. And we'll try and keep you updated as much as possible. Bye-bye.